That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
Disappointed kids if they were doing a science episode and found our website. Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your co-host. I'm Peter Billman.
I'm Cecil Davis.
And, we're just trying to have a conversation without Googling or fact-checking things online. Those things can so easily kill the conversation.
Yeah, hopefully I don't kill the conversation today by yelling at somebody on the road.
Yeah, we're kind of pushing our technology here. Cecil is on the road coming back from us visiting family in Cary, and we're doing everything remotely, so he's doing it while driving. So we don't recommend this to the kids at home.
Absolutely not. Don't do this at home or on the road or anywhere.
Hey, but this is our last episode of the year, so welcome and glad you're here with us. Thank you so much for listening with us this past year. Hey, we wanted to talk about some of our favorite episodes from the past year, and we would love for you to get into the conversation and email us at tdsrpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what your favorite episodes were. But Cecil, you want to get started and tell me what your favorite episode was? Maybe.
So this one goes way back to Lunch Arsenal, where we first started talking to my cousin Dave, and he sent us all the gas station lunch essentials, and we did online taste tests. So this was probably all the way back in April, May, probably in May when we first did this, and we tasted all the different Vienna sausages and crackers and hot sauce, and that was probably one of my favorites of the year.
That was episode number 87, Lunch Arsenal. And it's funny that you mentioned, because my favorite one to go along with that was 89, which is It's Alimentary. So that's when we were schooled on a new word. But that was the follow-up to that, where I got a huge care package.
Yeah.
I got a huge care package from your cousin of all these foods that I had never tried.
That's right.
Including Vienna sausages, beanie weenies. I think we also got some sardines in there, and we tasted those sardines. So that was 89. That was one of my favorites also to go along with yours, number 87.
Yeah, we determined that you must have grown up rich because you were eating pineapple and beef jerky.
Yeah, that's it. That was
instead of Vienna sausages.
We, on the other side of the tracks, we eat differently on the road.
What's your top episode? That was one of my top ones. What was one of yours?
Oh, well, number 89. Yeah, the follow-up. It's Alimentary.
Follow-up.
Yeah.
So, I think the next, one of my next favorite ones, this actually turned out to be one of my dad's favorite, was the ABCs of DEF.
No kidding.
And that, actually, people were either really interested in that one or not interested at all. And so, but there was a lot of people that were super interested in it, especially those of us that had driven diesels over the years.
Well, that's funny. That's episode number 102. And actually for 2023, that was our third most downloaded episode.
Really?
Yeah. Third.
Yeah.
I thought that was real interesting that people really tuned into that one. And, listener number one said that now that he goes inside gas stations, now he notices death and never knew it even existed.
I see it all the time now. Or, like I said, for a long time, I thought it was just windshield washer, very expensive windshield washer fluid.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even pay attention to it.
It's expensive, all right.
Yeah. But I think people like that one because they learned something, especially if you'd driven diesels in the past and hadn't driven one recently. I think that's what fascinated Dad, because he had driven diesels and didn't realize that the technology had changed since the last diesel we had.
Right. That was fun. That was fun for me. It's something I know about. I like talking about things I know.
Yeah, people that commented on that said that, you really seem to be in the zone on that particular episode.
That's right. It's
Yeah.
kind of been my life for the past 20
Yeah.
some years, right?
I understand. Yeah.
So
All right. What do you got?
another favorite of mine was number 70, Hold the Mayo. Do you remember this one, Cecil?
Unfortunately, I do remember that one. Yes.
This is the one where we dug into a bunch of Southern church cookbooks and looked at these recipes. Often had a lot of things to do with gelatinous casseroles, lots of mayonnaise, and just foods and ingredients you just really wouldn't put together.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. No, that one is still vivid in my memory for all the wrong reasons.
We got a lot of comments on that one, not from necessarily the episode, from the picture that I used for the episode. It was the picture of the Corning casserole dish with the blue flowers on the side.
Yeah.
Everyone said, "Oh, I had that one. My mom had that. My grandma had that dish."
Yep.
We all had that dish.
So what's the next one on your list?
The next one would be number 79, That Don't Taste Right. So that's the one where we looked at where different food companies took a very popular snack item and just maybe took it a little too far.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, that was fun. That was where we had the Peeps flavored Pepsi. You remember that?
Yeah. Again, that was hard to forget.
Well, a lot of these, I think you'll notice that 4 out of the 5 of my episodes has something to deal with food.
Something to do with food.
Yeah. What you got next?
That was we tried a lot of food in that. That was a fun episode. Yeah, my next one I think would have to be the Ice Age, the whole ice controversy, 2 episodes on ice, where I just posited that, perhaps we didn't need ice in modern society. I didn't say we didn't want it or crave it. I just said perhaps we didn't need it. And that set off an ice storm, as it were, of controversy and comments and pictures hung on my door at work and comments made and threats against me. So yeah, that was a fun one to do.
Yeah, that was episodes 111 and 112. If you want to go back and listen to those were fun. I was over in Sweden for a week, and a couple of my European counterparts listened to some of our episodes, and they listened to that, and they totally agree that our culture is definitely over iced. You just don't find a lot of ice over in the European culture. Everything is without ice, and they totally agree. Now I would point out to them they live in Sweden.
Right.
where
everything's
cold all the time.
Yeah.
You don't need ice. You stick it outside.
I saw a comedian sometime after that, and he said he was at a friend's house. They were on his deck. He had a Yeti cooler on his deck cooling down beer, and they were 20 feet from his refrigerator.
There you go.
And he's like, why do you need a Yeti cooler on your deck when you're 20 feet from your fridge? We could just... If you want it on your deck, just run an extension cord out here,
Yeah.
So those were a lot of fun.
Thus the controversy.
Yeah. I didn't think we'd ever be a controversial podcast, but here we are.
Okay, what do you got next, Cecil?
Yeah, I think definitely for me was the food insecurity, where we talked with Eric and at the food bank and got to go over there. And then the run up to the raw and the booth, all of that was a lot of fun. It was a serious subject, but it was. I learned a lot about our community, and that was one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was number 108, food insecurity. Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was also on my list. It was fun to have Eric from the Second Harvest Food Bank of Northwest North Carolina, and just to talk about the underlying causes and what we can do. I really enjoyed that whole month.
What's next on your list?
So this is my last one on my list. It's episode 110, Cowboy Pinball.
Oh, yeah.
I just cannot believe that there was a sport or an activity that was a fact that we knew somebody who actually participated in this event. The story was hilarious. The story was hilarious.
Having Dave up for the weekend, the Raw, doing that episode with him, and then just the episode itself was a lot of fun. Yeah, you're right. It's hard to believe that that is actually a thing.
Episode 108, and on the blog section, I'll post up some YouTube videos where you can see people getting tossed around. There's a couple local news articles about one particular cowboy pinball episode, and they were interviewing people and surprised that was allowed, and other people saying, "Oh, we'll never let that happen again." And
Yeah.
that was good.
That happens again. Yeah, so I got two more. Cowboy Pinball was on my list. That was one of them. But the other one was the one where we had the girls on, our daughters, and we talked about the drive-through controversy.
No kidding. That's episode 115. Next window, please. You really enjoyed that one, huh? You like?
I always like it when the girls are on, and that's fun.
No, that was interesting. I think we were just on a road trip, our family going to Mississippi and back, and I think we avoided the drive-through. I think we agreed as a family that for my sanity and the peace and harmony of the car, that we would just go inside and order.
Right. Go inside. Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Hey, so have you done your whole list?
I've done my whole list. Yep.
All right. So maybe you'd be interested about what were the top 3 most downloaded episodes of the year.
All right. So you've told me one. One was ABCs of DF.
Yeah, that was actually ranked number 3.
I'm going to say number 1 was Ice Storm.
No, that was not the most downloaded one.
Really?
Yep.
What was the most downloaded?
So I'll go from the reverse. So number 3 was the ABCs of Death, episode 102. Episode 82, Miss It by a Mile.
Oh man, we didn't even talk about that.
That was a 2-parter, episodes 82 and 83. That's when the massive elaborate prank on you for the
All right, I've got to redo my whole list because that was one of my favorite episodes too.
That was number 2. That was actually only number 2.
Yeah. We need a drum roll. What was number 1?
And number 1 is, here it is, episode 86, Digging Up the Past. This is where we talked about the big fuel stop, Buc-ee's.
Oh yeah.
And how massive the bathrooms were. And
right.
In the future, in 500 years, when archaeologists are digging up, old technology and old structures from our civilization, what are they going to think that was happening there?
That was a good one. I wonder why that was the most downloaded.
I can't help but think we used the word Buc-ee's in our episode description. I think some of the search engines were picking up on that episode because we had the word Buc-ee's in there. In fact, we visited Buc-ee's twice. We visited the one in Sevierville, Tennessee, and the one outside of Birmingham, Alabama. And they were very happy places.
Oh yeah, they're a lot of fun. What that goes back to your theory about why the one we had on the solar system was downloaded so much, because people doing science projects were probably hitting on a keyword, and it caused people to pull up that episode.
I can think of a lot of disappointed kids if they were doing a science episode and found our website.
Teachers probably don't allow it.
Hopefully they didn't use our material. Their grade might have suffered.
That'd be terrible. Sorry, kids. Well, it don't sound right, but I think you have come to the end of another That Don't Sound Right.
Hey, well, before we close, again, we want to thank everyone for listening in 2023. It's been a great year, and we are planned, right, Cecil? We're going to do 2024. We're going to do season 4, right?
Season 4.
Okay,
I'm in.
All right. But if this is your first time and enjoyed the conversation, would you consider hitting the subscribe button on the platform you listen with? Also, if you're a longtime listener, please go out there and give us a rating and leave us a review so others can easily find us and join the conversation.
Yeah, so this week's episode is you'll be listening to it just after the funeral of one of our listeners. And that listener was my father, Luther Manning Davis Jr., and we're dedicating tonight's episode to him. He listened. Like I said, one of his favorite episodes was the ABCs of DF. He also enjoyed when we would just tell stories, about hiking and stories from the past. But he was a faithful listener. And, if we start getting podcast hits from an unknown source, you never know. Anyways, this one goes out to my dad in his memory, and I hope to do more with that in the future. That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcast in conjunction with Campbell City Studios. I am one of your hosts, Cecil, and I do our sound editing, except for tonight. Peter will be doing it.
This should be interesting tonight. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Peter does our website and is our other host. Camille is our part-time barista. Giorgio does our product testing. Ella does our IG. Emily does our graphic design. And Brent is our truly international brand ambassador. And as always, listen number one is
Scott.
So until next week and until next year, keep talking
And stay curious.